Hi, this is Cheryl with Bears Pampered Stampers. At our recent crop, we made as one of our make and takes a fun happy birthday card that had a giant word, happy birthday to you. You can see I've got the black and white versions here, along on a rainbow stripe background. And so I thought I'd show you quickly how to make that. There are a few kits left over, and I'll have those in the store if you want to purchase one and make one along with me. So you'll have in the kit the two happy birthdays, one black, one white. You'll have some colored paper strips that you see behind me. These are 1/2 inch wide strips that I cut on the 8.5 inch side of the paper. You could also cut them on the 11, but the 8.5 is just perfect size-wise with no extra waste. You'll have a piece of cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4. You'll have a piece with some little people on it from Lawn Fawn, and you'll have a card and an envelope. Set the card and envelope aside for right now, and we'll work with the other items. We're going to start with this piece of cardstock. You can either go the full size of your card, or you can go a little smaller. Here I'm going to layer it on the white to give it a little more oomph. Adding the layering sometimes really helps with that. But sometimes you want to make it a little bigger and trim it down. You do whatever works for you. I'm going to use a tape runner here. Liquid glue would work very well. Also, what you want to do is you want to cover this back card with some lines of glue or tape runner. You're going to pay special attention to the corners because we want those corners to stick in place. So if you didn't get it first time around, go around and add a little bit more if you feel you need to. But that's where we're starting. I'm going to start in the middle of my diagonal strips. I'm doing mine in rainbow order. You do whatever order you like. You can use as many colors or as few as you want. I have 6 strips is probably the minimum you'd want to have of anything. I'm going to start here in one corner and just lay it so it covers the corner and stretches to the other. So I want all the excess cardstock in one place. Does it matter that I did it this way? I did it this way because it's easier for me. I'm a lefty. If it's easier for you to work up or work this diagonal, you do what makes sense for you. Again, if I'm doing it in rainbow order, my next color stripe is going to be orange. And I'm just going to lay this right next to the red stripe. Again, just covering the edge of the paper, but no real excess up here. I need these ends to be able to finish my card. This is kind of a efficient or cost-effective way of using your scraps, or, you know, cut up regular sheets of cardstock, whatever makes sense. So yellow is next, again, laying it just right up against that orange stripe. We'll add the green stripe. And because I've used the tape runner, I do have the opportunity to pull it up and reposition if I need to. You'd have that same opportunity with liquid glue. So whatever works for you, you know, score tape is just going to make things hard on you. What can I say? If you like to do things the hard way, use score tape for this. But you don't need it. You don't need that strength. Just something to hold it in place on the paper. And then my last stripe for this round is going to be the violet color. So that's what I look like on the front at this point. At this point, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to try and keep my hands out of that adhesive. I'll grab my scissors and I'm going to cut off the excess of those strips. The red here, or your corner piece, is the only one that needs the extra cut. And I'm going to do the same thing in the other direction. Don't worry if you don't have an exact cut this first go around, because you can always go back and trim later. It's better to go back and trim off some of the colors than to inadvertently trim off the cardstock. You don't want to do that. Okay, so I've trimmed my excess. Now I'm going to go back to the front side of my card. I'm going to grab this little red piece and I'm going to cover my corner. And you'll notice this one's the only kind of notched piece because it does cover a corner, covers a number of corners. So just be careful and make sure that all your cardstock is covered. I'm going to go back and do a quick trim because I still need that leftover red on my other side. And you can see when I flip it this direction that I haven't done a very good job of trimming my colors in certain places here, but that's okay. I can go back with my scissors later and trim, or I can take it to my paper trimmer and cut it off perfectly. I'm not such a perfect person, so it doesn't bother me too much. The only thing I'll say is if you use liquid glue to attach your paper strips, then wait until it's dry to go to your paper trimmer, because otherwise you're going to shift your strips and potentially have a problem. Now, when we start on this side, we're actually going to work in reverse order because I want my purple next to my red, not orange necessarily on that side. You could do it, you just won't have enough paper in the 6 strips I provided. So if you want to do it that way, where you have orange and yellow and green and that sort of thing going up, then make sure you cut extra paper strips. But here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the purple down right next to the red. Again, I'm going to be careful that I'm just covering the edge here. I have plenty off the other side though. I'm going to grab my blue next, lay it next to the purple. Now, I've cut mine all in even 1/2 inch. If you're working on this card another time, maybe you're using some scraps you have left over from other cards, they don't all have to be 1/2 inch. Use whatever size you have. You can use a 1/4, an 1/8 inch. You can use a full inch. Whatever you think looks good. And so forth. So 2 more colors, and I'm covered here. I'm going to lay my orange down, and then my itty bitty piece of red is going to be just enough to cover that corner for me. And I'll go to the back side and I'm going to go ahead and trim off those edges. Again, you can take this to a paper trimmer if it makes you feel more comfortable. Little hard to do it while you've got adhesive on the other side, so you have to think about those things a little bit. Don't go too soon if you're using wet glue, because wet glue will shift as you work through the paper trimmer. Now I can take it and I can do a little bit more trimming in these areas where I didn't get quite close to the edge of my white cardstock. And my bottom layer is going to be ready to go. And so there's my rainbow layer. How cute is that? So that's ready to mount onto the card. I can see when I lay it down, can you see where I've done a poor job of trimming in a couple of places? Like right there, and there's a little mismatch down here. So again, you'll want to watch those things and perhaps correct them before you finish your card. I'm going to just point them out to you and I'm going to move on. Next thing we're going to do is work with the happy birthdays. I showed you in another video with the word Mary how to stack up 5 or 6 of them. This time we're just going to use 2, but we're going to offset these 2 a little bit to make them pop off the page a little bit more. So I'm going to take my black version and I'm going to add the glue to this. The front actually, oh, please work, glue. That's one of those things you always get to a video and you think your glue isn't going to work. You don't have to have glue everywhere. You can just sort of dot your way along just so that there's enough to get things together and holding together. You don't want your whole top layer to pull up. This is a really fine stream glue, so I'm not really applying as much as it maybe looks like. but I could literally just dot it around like that too, and it would be just fine. You just check my U here. Needs a couple of little dots on there. And we're good to go. Now, when I attach it to the happy birthday, I want to make sure that these two are offset a little bit. So I usually have my back layer maybe a little higher and a little more to the right or left. It doesn't matter which one, whichever you prefer, or however it falls, to be entirely honest. Sometimes it comes to that. But if you can see right there, I have not perfectly stacked those two cuts together. They are offset. And when I put that down on the cardstock, now it pops up. I've got a shadow on my happy birthday, and it just makes for a more dramatic impact on the card. So this you can either attach to the rainbow pattern using foam to lift it up a little bit more. You can attach it flat, whatever you think is most appropriate. Sometimes if you're mailing, you want to keep things flatter. Your last step to complete the card will be to color in the little family members here. I've given you a grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and some assorted kids along with a cat and a dog. So use one, use them all, whatever works for you. I just colored mine in literally with Crayola colored pencils. Nothing, no Copics or anything for this project. It's too small. It's too easy. So add those in, pop them around. These look better, popped off a little bit. Peek them out from inside the letters. The cat and the dog are darling that way, and the kids even. I'm going to post a picture for you in the comments of the completed card. Sorry, I left it with the materials at the shop, so I don't have it to show to you today, but it's a fun, cute card to make. Again, we'll have kits on sale at the shop for a while. If you're only going for that and you desperately need one, be sure and call ahead and make sure there's still kits left, because you know they sell out. And it's a limited time sort of thing. We'll try and pull the video timely. But again, a fun card. The rainbow stripe background, similar to that red and white background that I used on the Mary, again, can also be done this way or this way. Either way will work. Use your scraps, pattern papers mixed with solids, mixed pattern papers. There's a million fun ways of doing this. So I hope you'll try this out to do some pieced backgrounds. Again, you can easily use scraps. I was making card kits for a large group, so I started out with whole sheets of paper, but many people at the crop did cute cards using scraps that they had left over from cards they were making there at the crop. And so it's a great way to use scraps and to make a fun, one-of-a-kind card. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it again with just 6 strips of paper cut on the 8.5 side. That's my leftovers. There's not a lot there. If you cut on the 11-inch side, you will have more chunks of paper left. Keep those because you can use them in a future card, but it's pretty paper efficient and a fun way to use scraps. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.